Welcome to Throwback Thursday, where we bring you a homeopathy hangout episode from our archives in case you missed it first time round. Because this episode may be a couple years old by the time you hear it as a throwback, some of the special offers, links, or content may not be valid anymore, so please keep this in mind when listening. You're always welcome to reach out to us at info@eugeniekruger.com. Enjoy the episode. Today's episode is sponsored by the New Zealand Homeopathic Society. They're a charitable organisation dedicated to raising awareness and supporting the growth of homeopathy in New Zealand. You can become a member and receive amazing benefits, such as access to an online Introduction to Homeopathy course for beginners from the College of Natural Health and Homeopathy. You'll also have access to the members-only section of their website, where you'll find past journals and articles to download or browse. And you'll receive their quarterly newsletter via email, as well as a variety of articles on homeopathy, up-to-date information on homeopathic news, tips on how to use remedies for common ailments and upcoming events. Plus, you'll receive 10% discount on remedies purchased from supporting pharmacies, Similimum and Celine Homeopathics. And if you're a book lover like me, be sure to check out their online bookshop. It is amazing. To become a member of the New Zealand Homeopathic Society or to purchase some of their books, visit www.homeopathy.ac.nz. That's homeopathy.ac.nz. Membership is currently only available to people living in New Zealand. Today we speak with homeopath Giovanna Franklin, a mother of two based in the UK, who discovered homeopathy for the first time after her son was diagnosed with Autism Spectrum Disorder, and seeing her son's improvement, it convinced her to become a homeopath with a special interest in autism and ADHD. Her love for homeopathy has driven her to teach, and she loves creating bespoke courses, and she's also a qualified clinical supervisor. Her website is homeopathyheal.co.uk, and she also has a Facebook page called Homeopathy Heals, and she has a private Facebook group called Autism Solutions. Giovanna is going to be speaking with us today on homeopathic remedies for colic and teething. If you have a little one, I hope you will really find this information very helpful.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now my mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangout. Today, we are hanging out with homeopath Giovanna Franklin. Have I said that right?
Yes, thank you.
I've got to put that Italian twist on it. But you are from Glasgow. How are you going?
Yeah, we're good. It's winter here. We have snow this morning, but everything is good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so lovely to have you on, Giovanna. So I wonder, can you tell our listeners how you first discovered homeopathy?
Well, I have a son who is now 12 years old, and he's on the Autistic Spectrum Disorder, and he was diagnosed when he was 4. And so before then, I knew the name, I knew the word homeopathy, but it meant nothing to me, and I was not interested in finding out. I had no particular health issues, but once I was hit with the diagnosis, as you know, probably other parents know, we're in the same boat. There is not very much information coming from the medical profession. They give you this diagnosis, which is really, because there is no physical test, there's no blood test. It's a diagnosis. They check, they ask you a question, and so it's a kind of subjective. And then the prognosis is totally unknown. And you start obviously asking questions. What is this? Where does it come from? And they tell you, no, we don't know. Okay. And what's the prognosis? What's the future going to be like? Oh, well, we don't know. But, in my case, they actually said to me, you're lucky because your son is potty trained. He was 4 at the time. He was nonverbal. He had amazingly challenging behaviors. And so that was that. And so, of course, you have two choices. You either resign to your fate and you say, okay, this is me, or you start digging and researching. And so that's what I did. And then in the digging, I literally stumbled into the website of a local homeopath who said on her website that she specialized in autism. And I had still no idea what homeopathy was, but I checked her credentials. She had studied in London College of Homeopathy. So she sounded legit. So I went to her. She started with carcinosin. Again, no idea what it was. But I saw the changes, really subtle changes in my son. And that's when I started asking her questions, like, what on earth is this? And she handed me this book, the Miranda Castro's Handbook of Remedies, which is really the first one that everybody gets. And it's so wonderful because I remember reading the introduction and really thinking, why does not everybody know about this? This sounds fantastic. It makes complete sense. The fact that you have to give the minimum dose, the fact that you have to, the liqueurs, I don't know why some people have a problem adjusting with that. To me, it makes total sense. And I don't know if it's my brain that works backward, but it makes complete sense compared to the drugs. And I've never been a massive fan of allopathic medicine anyway. But again, you don't, until you need something, it doesn't really come into your consciousness, I suppose. So in a sense, that was a massive gift because I started to be so obsessed with it that I actually asked my husband at one point, would that be a good idea for me to train and become a professional homeopath? Because I was at home at the time. And he said, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. And then here I am. It's amazing. It's the best thing that happened to me. So sometimes, some people say the best things in your life, the best opportunities come disguised, very well disguised as negative stuff.
Absolutely.
Good disguise.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you obviously know that with this podcast, I'm constantly trying to empower the public with the knowledge of using homeopathy for themselves. And I recently put a call out to some professional homeopaths to say, who of you are willing to put up your hand and come on the podcast and do some talks with us, get down to the nitty gritty of some of the things that our listeners deal with on a regular basis. And you were very brave and you put your hand out to come and have a chat with us today about colic and teething. And I'm so grateful for that. So I wonder, can I give you the floor, Giovanna, and you tell our listeners about what homeopathic remedies they can use to help their children through colic and teething, because so many people reach automatically for Panadol. We call it Panadol over here, like a pain relief. And pharmaceuticals, they can be so heavy on a little baby's guts and their liver. And some mums intuitively feel that it doesn't feel right to give all these pharmaceuticals to such a tiny little baby, but they don't know that there is a safe alternative. So can you please tell our listeners about what options they have with homeopathy?
Yeah, sure. So even before thinking about giving something, whether a remedy or medication, sometimes it's worth just doing a little checklist. And I apologize if that sounds, if everybody's already knowing this and already doing this.
No, just assume that people know nothing. So just go.
Yeah, because especially if you're a new mother and you don't know what to do, you panic. So one of the first things is, if you're breastfeeding, look at your diet and maybe see if you can see a pattern, like if you're eating something that maybe doesn't agree with your child and makes the milk taste funny for your baby. So there are certain foods that can trigger this, like coffee or tea or spices, garlic, cruciferous vegetables, like cabbage or broccoli, sometimes peppers. So, watch out for that. A few days of observation. If your baby is bottle fed, if he's taking formula, then perhaps formula might not be the right one and you need to experiment with different ones. And also maybe check that the teat on the bottle is the right size. Because if it's too big, sometimes the baby will suck in air together with the milk, and that will cause gas, and the gas gets trapped, and that can cause pain and stomach pain. Also, there are other things that you can try and do, like, baby massage on the tummy, or put your baby face down on your knees with a rolled up towel under the tummy and gently roll the baby up and down over the towel. And there are things like fennel tea that you can give, like little teaspoonfuls. So these are the first things that I would personally do before reaching out to anything. Now, After that, if none of these things have worked, then you can start thinking homeopathy, because the allopathic medication that I've seen, I mean, I've seen some babies, there are some prescription medications that are pretty heavy duty. I had a baby of 12 weeks old and he was given omeprazole. I don't know if you have it
we
over
have it
there.
as well. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the side effects can be worse. So, sickness, diarrhea, stomach pain. So, it's not the best. And then I found an allopathic medicine, which is fascinating. I love it because it's called hyoscyamine. How interesting. So, and guess what? The side effects of this medication are heartburn, dilated pupils, you don't say, dry mouth, rapid heartbeat, constipation, blurred vision, confusion, dizziness. I mean,
sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's great. And it's amazing. I love it when they try, it's obviously from hyoscyamus, but of course the raw substance is like belladonna. It can give you, some funny side effects, whereas the homeopathic version is totally safe, as we know. Anyway, so coming to the actual remedies, there are quite a few, but the most common ones, the first one I would say I was mentioning is chamomilla. A lot of people know chamomilla. It's a beautiful thing. It's so helpful. And the chamomilla state is also very easy to recognize for parents, for moms out there, because the chamomilla child, when you have a chamomilla child, the screaming is off the charts. The rage, because there is that scream that is angry, like do something, It's really, really nonstop and it's inconsolable. And the only thing that calms the baby down is just picking them up and rocking them. But the minute you put them down, they start screaming again. It's obviously super in distress. So chamomilla can be used for pain in general, whatever the pain is, because really the theme of chamomilla is this is unbearable. Unbearable. That's the theme. And so even for other issues, you can think of chamomilla when the pain is really unbearable. But in this specific, the baby is arching their back, stretching their legs, really stiff from the pain. The stools are different as well. They tend to be green, running, which is also what happens with the teething. And chamomile is also very good for teething pain. And sometimes you can have both at the same time, happening at the same time if you're really lucky. And so you don't know which is which. But chamomile can be helpful definitely for both, because like I said, the theme really is the unbearableness of the pain.
Giovanna, have you got a favorite potency that you use it in or that you find effective? That's a very good question. I always start with 30C and I always stick with 30C for acute. Yeah, I do. The reason I just ask is that when I had my first Baba, I was like, oh, no, you only give 30C. And then another homeopath, because my son, who's my oldest, he's 10 now, he was such a terrible teether. And my daughter just breezed through it. But oh my gosh, Chamomilla 30 did nothing for him. And she said, don't be afraid to use Chamomilla 200 because you need to match the potency to the intensity of the pain. And because his pain was so intense, I ended up giving him Chamomilla 200C every 5 minutes, usually only for about 3 or 4 doses, and then he would calm down. But I hope it's okay to just kind of like put that in there as well. I just want to say to the listeners that if you find your child's symptoms match what Giovanna has just said, and the 30C hasn't done anything for you, just try the 200C before you give up on the remedy.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. I always start with low because,
me too.
You can always go up
on the same.
After, and it's better than going too high first thing. And then, you get an aggravation and and then you have to, it's more complicated. So, yeah. And most first aid kits are in 30C. And they're very accessible. And I think also for peace of mind, I think if you're new to homeopathy, you know that is a low potency. And so, yeah, you can start and then gradually, but it's absolutely true. Yeah, you need to match the potency with intensity. Yeah,
I'm just saying that because it's so easy to want to relieve your child's pain instantaneously. So if that chamomilla 30C isn't working and you're feeling like you want to reach for the Panadol, just try the 200C first before you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And also the other thing many moms often ask, is it okay? My baby is very small. He weighs 3-4 kilos and stuff. And homeopathy doesn't work like that on age or weight. It doesn't really matter. It's really the potency and the symptoms.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah. So you would give the same dose to a newborn as you would to a 130 kilo man.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So chamomile is definitely, I believe that's in the Helios first aid kit because it is such a good remedy for pain. Another remedy that is very good for colics is colocynthis, if I pronounce it correctly, which is really bitter cucumber. And the funny thing that I find it funny, but the Latin name of this remedy is citrullus. And in Italian, we still say citrullo to mean somebody who's a bit silly.
Oh, funny.
And the reason for that is that it's a bitter cucumber. So it looks like some of them are really big. They look like watermelons, but they don't taste of anything. And so, by association, so it's something that looks good, but then it doesn't, it's tasteless. It's kind of useless. And so by association, somebody who is a bit, yeah.
Very interesting.
Okay. Anyway. So colocynthis is when the pain is in the abdomen and you see the little tummy is a bit bloated and there is diarrhea. It's also where you see vomiting after feeding. So, regurgitating right after feeding, the baby can be hungry, but then it regurgitates. And this one, unlike chamomilla, the baby feels better by bending over. And you will see that they actually draw their wee legs up to their chest to feel better and relieve the pain. And so that's a good sign. So you can recognize this remedy for that. A remedy that I've used also quite often is Dioscorea. And the picture of this remedy is, again, it's quite distinctive because you will hear rumbling noises from the tummy. And there's a lot of wind. Okay, so
Dioscorea is wild yam, I think, from memory.
Yeah, that's right. That's wild yam. Yeah, it's a tropical plant. I'm not sure it's edible. I think there are different types. Some are edible and some are not. The next one I have is Magnesium muriatica. And Magnesium muriatica, you recognize it because it's worse for milk. And so the baby's hungry, they need the milk, but as soon as they get it, sometimes there are cases of allergy of milk, even breast milk. The baby can be allergic to. And so the baby is crying and regurgitating right after the feeding. And there is constipation very often, or the stools are really hard. They look like pellets. And there's a lot of straining. And it can be alternated with diarrhea, kind of greenish diarrhea.
And you said that was Magnesium muriaticum, hey?
Yes, that's right. And then there is one remedy that I haven't prescribed myself, but it's very specific. And it's if the mother has been given an injection to help expel the placenta, that can cause the colic in the baby right away. So if you know you have had this injection, and you see your baby start with the colics right away, like, a few days after feeding, then secale or secale is the right remedy. Secale is a grain. Is one of the family of barley. So this is very specific. And the baby's tummy is really bloated and tight and hard. But it's easy to spot because this is really a case of, cause and effect, basically.
It's interesting because secale, I think, is also a really good remedy that's used for hemorrhaging during birth. So if it's hemorrhaging from memory, secale is also useful. So it's interesting that then you're saying if you get the injection, the oxytocin injection, then to release the placenta, that can also then be used if they're having these colicky symptoms. So that's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, that's a very specific thing. I'm glad I came across this, but as I say, I haven't actually used it in practice. Maybe there's not, I don't know how many percentage, statistically, how many women get that.
Well, you know what's going to happen is that now that we've talked about it, we're probably going to need it in the next week or so.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
You know how it works.
Yeah. That's true, actually. So, so these are the most common ones, but don't discount other remedies like calcarb, for example, calcarea carbonica. That is also it's not specific because it's such a big remedy, calcarb. It can be used for just about anything, but it is really good remedy for babies, feeding problems. And sometimes even teething. I've had cases where, the chamomilla didn't do anything, tried other things, aconite, other remedies, nothing that you would normally associate with teething problem. And then calcarb did a trick because it's a very good baby remedy, I think, in general.
And especially, I think, if the teeth are really slow to come in. So sometimes we'll say, it's been 3 months and he's been teething and the teeth still haven't popped through. A few doses of calcarb and those teeth just pop through. And
absolutely,
also really good for all sorts of childhood developmental issues as well, like if they're late to walk and all those sorts of things. Calcarb's wonderful.
That's true, yeah. So for teething, we've already been through chamomilla, and you have the same sort of symptoms as colic. So the green diarrhea is a big clue for chamomilla. And again, there's other things that you can do to help your child with teething, even like massaging the gums with your finger gently, or giving them one of those teething rings if you keep them in the fridge first so that it's cool and the cold can give a bit of relief, and then they can chomp on it or eat something that is crunchy and cool, like a carrot, a piece of carrot or something like that. So that can help already.
And could put some wet face cloths in the freezer as well and give them one of those, apparently. I haven't tried it myself. I've just heard that can help.
All right. Okay. Yeah. That's
anything cold to chew on. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. Some kids really like ice from an early age. So but again, if that doesn't work, or if the issue is bigger than that, chamomilla can help. Also aconite and belladonna. And I am not averse to using combination remedies, by the way, when it comes to acutes. And aconite and belladonna are kind of good together. They're both good acute remedies. The symptoms can be very similar. So the pain, that's very strong, especially at night. The cheeks are red. In the belladonna stage, the cheeks can be swollen and hot to the touch, as well as red. But aconite is very similar. And so you can try first aconite and then the other, but you can also just put them together. What I do is just do water remedies, pop 1 pellet of each in a bit of water. Doesn't matter how much water. Let them dissolve, bang them on the table or shake. Yeah. And then give a little teaspoon whenever it's needed.
I have to say, our top selling teething remedy in my clinic is ABC, which is aconite, belladonna, and chamomilla. Yeah. And so many mums have raved about that combination of the 3.
Yes. And funnily enough, it also works later on when they're grown up.
Oh,
it works for anxiety. It's really good for panic attacks and anxiety. It's one of the, I think Helios sells a combination for that, but it's something that you can make yourself. Like I say, for acute, I really do like combination remedies for acute situation. Even, broken bones, pain like this, teething, going to the dentist, because you can have different symptoms. And the pain can reach, for example, if you're in pain, sometimes hypericum be mixed with belladonna and other things, arnica and da. So when they say, I know some people hear this expression, classical homeopathy, and you're supposed to give one remedy at a time. There's all sorts of rules, which is fine. I mean, I'm classically trained, but my teacher was Misha Nordland. He also said, whatever works. At the end of the day, and there's no harm in trying. Also, don't be scared to experiment, because at the end of the day, homeopathy is the safest modality that we have. And I'm not saying, go wild and throw all the kit at your baby, because that just confuses the picture, if apart from anything else. But do try, experiment. My patients are amazing. They are so creative, a lot of them. And, necessity is the mother of invention. And sometimes when they are in a tight spot and maybe they don't have time for a consultation, they'll just throw a few things in and then they tell me later. But they say, hey, this worked. I did this and I did that. And I say, wow, that's great. And I just write it down.
Yeah, we learn so much from our patients. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. So so don't be scared. That's what I'm saying. Go and experiment, see what works for you, what you can tolerate in terms of potency, because the sensitivity is also another thing. Everybody's different, and so you learn about yourself. That's another one of the amazing things about homeopathy. You learn about yourself while you're doing it. So aconite, belladonna. Sometimes baby teeth come out slowly, like we mentioned. So calcarb is a really, really good one. And when the teething is accompanied by colds and runny nose, and the teeth are also slow in coming out, you can also think of silica, which is another great remedy, big remedy. Another issue that you can have is that the baby teeth come out and they start decaying very quickly. And creosote can help.
Oh my gosh. I have 2 clients. I just had another email last week of where we completely stopped decay in its tracks with creosotum. I am just so amazed by that remedy. And it's made from wood tar, I think.
Wood tar, yes. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I mean, who would have thought? I don't know.
Who would have thought, yeah.
Who was the first who thought, hey, wood tar?
Let's make a remedy from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, honestly, these mums are just so happy, because you don't really want to be putting your child under general anesthetic to have all these, and often it's several teeth that are just completely decayed, and having all these teeth removed or silver capped or, all this. And then we have homeopathy that's so safe and effective. And, this decay was stopped within a month, maybe 2. It was pretty quicker than what I believed. Actually, I was saying to the mums, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And she's like, "Yep, the dentist has confirmed the decay is stopped."
Yeah,
so I will vouch for creosotum.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, let's not forget about the cell salts.
Oh, yeah.
For later on, they are amazing. You just reminded me. I had a similar case. There was a child. He was a bit older, but he was 5 years old, and he had all these decay, and the dentist had already booked the op. They had to do all sorts of fillings and the crowns, and the mother was really upset, because first of all, because she has 3 more kids and none of them ever had any issues, and I knew from knowing her, their diet was super clean. She was very careful, no fizzy drinks, no sugar. She was doing all the right things. And yet the teeth were decaying all the time. And so I wasn't really hopeful, to be totally honest with you, but I said, let's give it a try. And I just said, well, why don't you give him, cell salts, Calcarea fluorata, silica, Calcarea phosphorica. And it took a couple of months. Luckily, she had the op was long-term, was scheduled for far out. And then when she went, they checked again and there was nothing. They didn't have to do anything.
Nice.
Oh, she was absolutely over the moon. And so was I, actually, because I really, sometimes even homeopaths kind of doubt, because, you think, can it be that good?
And also, I have to admit, I was really skeptical when I said to these clients, look, take the creosote. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I think it's too far gone. I don't know if homeopathy can save it.
Yeah.
So I was really amazed. It really gave me so much, confidence with these conditions. But it's interesting that you said that the other children didn't have the decay, but this one child did. But there's so many things that can happen in pregnancy, especially if antibiotics have been given during pregnancy. Mm-hmm. And if it happens to be around the time that the teeth were developing in utero, then obviously that can affect, or if any medications were given at the time that the teeth were forming, then that can obviously affect the child's teeth when they eventually came out. So with the tissue salts, I have a combination we call a strong teeth combo, and that's got calc carb, calc fluor, calc phos, and silica in it in a tissue salt potency, so 6x. And that's a good one to take during pregnancy at the stage of when the teeth is developing. And this combination has kept a tooth in my mouth for 7 years that should have been pulled out 7 years ago. And whenever I feel it flaring up, I just take that tissue salt again. So I'm so glad you brought the tissue salts up because they're amazing.
Yeah, they really are. I really like them. It's interesting because, when you study, they teach you, remedies. Okay, that's great. There's thousands of remedies. I love remedies. And then there are other things that are kind of not second class, but they're a little bit neglected. Yeah. And there are things, like Bach flower remedies as well, for example. I used to be really super snobby about that. I knew what they were, but I was like, but they're not real homeopathic. They're not, they work. But, And the same with cell salts. I was like, but. Mm-hmm. And then it was actually my supervisor when I was in supervision. She said to me, actually, cell salts, they are the food of the body. You really need to look at them like food. You really like nutraceuticals. That's the new word that they use right now. And it's true. They are food. They're what the components of our essential minerals that we need. So, yeah.
Have you got anything else on your list?
No, that's really the things, the first ones that I would think of. If none of them works, I would really consult a homeopath. Because there might be something else going on, like constitutionally, and needs a bit more investigation. But most of the time, you should be fine with these.
It could even be something mental, emotional, and that's where your homeopath will be amazing because they will go right through from preconception. What was that like? Was there any miscarriages beforehand? What was conception like? What was your state, your mental, emotional state like during pregnancy? And maybe the baby actually needs a remedy for the state that you were in while you were pregnant, and giving the baby that remedy to then help. So, go see your homeopath. That's what they're there for. Speaking of going to see your homeopath, Giovanna, how do people get hold of you?
I have social media. I'm only on Facebook and nowhere else. So my social media page on Facebook is called Homeopathy Heals. And there are lots of posts. And I make a point of answering anyone who has questions or comments. I love to see comments, actually. And I have a website that is called homeopathyheal.co.uk. And I also have a newsletter, which is free, that you can subscribe to. And if you want to talk to me about anything or find out how I work for a consultation, I offer 20 minutes free on homeopathyheal.co.uk/contact-me. There's a button on my website, just book. Wow. And that's it. And I also have a private group on Facebook, and that's specifically for autism. And it's called Autism Solutions. And it's a private group. I made it private just for, privacy. So, parents can be free to say whatever they want. And it's a safe space for parents.
Thank you so much for today, Giovanna. A little bit of fun at the end. What's your 3 favorite homeopathic remedies that you couldn't live without, and why?
Right, definitely arnica. I go through arnica like water in my house, and especially when my kids were younger, because the accidents, the bumps, and he saved my son's head. My son always had to bang his head. Whatever, some people have, I don't know, whatever it is, when they get injured, it's the head. And he had some pretty bad head injuries, concussions. I mean, I had one point, the concussion was, I knew it was a concussion because it smacked his head bang on the hard floor, the forehead, and he started to feel dizzy, and then he was sick. And I started to give him arnica straight away. Every 5 minutes, 200, but he was dizzy. He fell asleep. He never bruised.
Wow.
There was never a bruise. And at one point, because I was worried, I knew it was a concussion, I did call. We have here NHS 24, the National Health Service, 24/7. And I called them for advice. And they were like, okay, does he have any bruising? And I was like, no, because I gave him arnica. And they were like, what? Okay, no bruising anyway. Right, okay. Is it this? And then they wanted me to take him in for, to see him, but he was falling asleep. They were very scared. No, don't let him fall asleep. It was actually late at night. So I knew he was fine. At that point, I knew he was fine. And so I never took him. But, he never bruised. And I have another instance when my daughter, when she was a toddler, she was running down the stairs to the kitchen. And at the same time as my son was opening the fridge door, so she was running into the kitchen, fridge door open, my daughter bang into the fridge door. And immediately you see the bump.
Egg.
This bump like in the cartoons, like it was like a nut. And so I took her upstairs to lie down. I read your story. I gave her arnica. I'm telling you, by the time I finished the story, the bump had disappeared.
I know. I have seen that too with my son. It ran into a pole at the playground, egg, and every 5-10 minutes, under an hour, that egg is gone.
Yeah. And I knew it would happen because, I had studied it. The teachers always had stories exactly, along those lines. And you know it's going to happen. But when it happens and you see it and you blink and you're like, what?
It never gets boring.
I know. It's beautiful. Another one that I really love is APIS. APIS is underrated because, you don't get, thank goodness, you don't get wasp stings that often, but it's really good for burns and for stings. I mean, for wasp,
sore throats,
absolutely, sore throats. Amazing. My son, again, he ran out one day in the summer with his scooter. After 5 minutes, he come in screaming. His hand is absolutely flaming red, swollen. He had run into a wasp and he was screaming in pain. And I was really happy. I was like, yay, that was years ago. I just got my Helios kid. I'm sick. And that's a sick mom here. I was like, yay, I can try APIS for the first time. Let's go for that. And I gave him one pellet of 30C. It went 20 minutes. He didn't even remember. So how's your hand? Absolutely normal, like nothing had ever happened to it. I love this stuff.
We had that just yesterday. We were at a birthday party in a local park and one of the little girls stepped on a bee and she was screaming hysterically. Luckily, her mum used to work with me. And so I know they use homeopathy. And I said to the little girl, is it okay if I give you a remedy? And she said, yes. And I grabbed my kits and I put APIS on her tongue. It wasn't even a minute, maybe 2. And then she was like, oh, there's my friend. And she ran off. I was like, I think everyone was just like, what did you just give this kid? It's unbelievable.
That's really great. Absolutely great. Actually, a fun fact, if you don't have remedies handy, what can really, really help is a nice slice of ripe tomato right on the bite. And I think it's to do with the acidity in the tomato. I don't know. But I discovered that when I was a kid and we were on the beach and somebody got stung on the lip because the wasp had hidden inside a can of juice. And somebody was on the beach and he drank and it was terrible. And because we were on the beach, everybody could hear the guy screaming and somebody said, hey, bring a tomato. And they went to the cafe on the beach and they came back with a slice. tomato, and I put it on the lip, and that really, really helps. So that.
Well, maybe that's like a like you is like red tomato, and the redness is swelling from a sting. Maybe there's something in there.
Could be, yes. Yeah. Could be, yeah.
Or maybe
really
the acidity. And what's your third favorite one that you can't live without?
Really arsenicum. I use it again. It's something that I use a lot because apart from the bugs, stomach bugs, fabulous. Flu prevention, fabulous. Anxiety about the flu because of this COVID situation. I remember when it started, we all got COVID, blah, blah, blah. But before we all got it, my husband started to get a little bit. And he's usually kind of unflappable. But I guess he was watching too much, news on TV. And he started to get scared. And because he hit 60 into 2020, and he was like, oh, what if I get it? Am I going to die? Am I going to die? And I was like, whoa, I'm not dealing with it. So I took a pellet of arsenicum 30C again from my first aid kit and throw it in his mouth. He went back to normal, absolutely back to normal, because that was really not like him. And that was really the anxiety to get it. And I think in this pandemic, oh my gosh, I can't remember how many times I've gained arsenicum.
It has definitely.
I think they should put it in the water.
I have said that too. Absolutely. Yeah. We would have everyone would be so chilled. Yes. Replace the fluoride with replace the fluoride with arsenicum.
Yes, totally. That would be so much better.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, Giovanna, it's been very fun chatting with you today. Thank you so much. I hope our listeners have really gotten something out of today and will consider homeopathy for colic and teething for their little bubbies and, explore a bit more beyond that. And we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me and lovely meeting you. It's great.
Chat soon. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.